Have you ever been in an important meeting and caught yourself daydreaming or not remembering the importance of the meeting? After this presentation, you'll learn how to understand and improve your listening skills for more effective and result oriented communication within the workplace. My name is Eric Walker. I'm a small business sales representative in West Michigan for ADT Security Systems. I sell security and alarm systems to local business owners and residents. I come in contact with customers on a day to day basis. So I know for a fact that I've been guilty of being able to have a conversation and caught myself daydreaming as well. I find this subject to be both resourceful and helpful with enhancing my own productive listening skills. The purpose of this presentation is so that you'll gain an understanding and importance of utilizing your own personal listening skills, the benefits of effective listening, and then you'll also understand how the different generations affect the different dilemmas in communications as well. The main topics of the informative presentation are the different characteristics to improve your communication, listening to people from other generations, and then also the payoffs of effective listening. The different characteristics improving your understanding and communications. Whenever you're in an actual meeting or a presentation, it's important for you to be able to identify the speaker's main points with keywords or phrases. Taking notes on many points with few words. Constantly summarizing the speaker's previous points by the keywords within your mind. So whenever they're saying something that they kind of their voice or their tone of the voice or the tone of them kind of fluctuates, you can kind of tell based on the tone or the tone of their voice what parts are important to take notes on and what parts aren't. That's where you're listening for the facts as well as the feelings behind the facts is in their emotional tones. You also relate the information to current policies and procedures, and then you're able to associate what is said with the policies and procedures as well. One important thing is to avoid prejudice. Whenever we intake different things that we hear, this affects our information that we process. Listening to information objectively first, and then evaluating it according to your own personal beliefs or your own information or your own intake. Being able to listen to people from other generations is very important in the workplace. In today's workplace, you're likely to be working side by side with three different generations. By 2020, there will probably be about four generations within the workplace, with a millennial generation representing 50% of the workforce. So it's important that we all need to brush up on our communication skills with all generations along with our listening skills. By whether you're a colleague, you're a boss, a manager, or even if you're just a general customer going into an auto parts store who might need new windshield wipers for your car. Different generations have ways of communicating along with what holds important within the conversation to them. So they're immune to communicating, and things that they listen for are a lot different based on when they were born and when they were raised. Generation Xers, those are the people that are more self-reliant. They're the kind of families that have two people working in the home. They also have daycare facilities. Things that they were insecure about are the downsizing of different companies, and there's also the AIDS epidemic then. So they don't plan to spend years working to get promoted, and they prefer to retire early. They're the generation that feels as if performance overrides seniority, in which they determine rewards. My generation, the millennial generation, is more materialistic, disposable income, and we kind of learn to trust interpersonal relationships. We have diverse cultural relationships, and then a lot of social media is our way of being able to communicate with one another. So us utilizing listening skills on a daily basis is a lot lower than somebody that's from the baby boomer generation. Being that we use and we're attached to smartphones all the time, we have a more short attention span. We also are the type of generation that likes to negotiate assignments and ask for expectations. So being that the baby boomers have a different way of being able to communicate, some of the things that they find to be important to them are also being competitive. Job security is something that's important to them as well, and they have the hard work pays off kind of mentality. The technology and computers were probably the main things that they actually used were like television and computers within their upbringing of communication skills when it comes to technology. Then there's the traditionalist who's born before 1940. They really didn't utilize a lot of technology for communication, so their listening skills are a lot more effective because they had lack of financial resources, and then the things that were most important to them were religious and community, and they're the kind of generation who go based off of loyalty and respect. So, being that those four different generations are play a key factor in the way that we actually listen, I'll explain to you the payoffs of being an effective listener. An effective listener discovers the value, needs, expectations, and goals of those whom they work. You get a better understanding of what motivates your superiors, such as your managers, your bosses, your directors, your area managers, your regional managers, different colleagues, and subordinates. You also notice the similarities and the difference between their values and their expectations in comparison to your own. Your manager or your director may have a different expectation of you in comparison to what you may think is your own expectation, or vice versa. Your expectations may be higher than what your own manager or your director may expect of you. Another benefit of being an effective listener is that better decisions are made within emergency situations. Better management-employee relationships are also developed as well. Whenever you're actually listening to your coworkers or your colleagues or your managers, you're able to actually build different relationships within that. Good managers are also a key thing to being an effective listener is to be able to being a good manager is being an effective listener, because good managers take employees' concerns into consideration by listening to what it is they may have to say. We also learn from others' experience. Those who listen effectively, we realize that the other members experience many of the same problems, and they also listening allows you to learn from other successes and avoid mistakes. Some of my closing statements and some of my summary to call to action. The closing remarks for the presentation is that effective listening is not passive. Being an effective listener takes a great deal of effort and motivation to become an effective listener. Utilizing these skills amongst being able to relate to different generations is a prerequisite for success in a business and the profession. Millennials have to be able to understand the way the immune of communication for a baby boomer or a Generation Xer to a millennial as well. Organizational effectiveness is hampered by employees and managers who don't listen to some of their colleagues or some of their other employers. So, whether you're a manager or a director, it's also important to be able to listen to some of those colleagues who may hold a position underneath you. From this presentation, you'll now understand how effective communication within the workplace and be able to build relationships with your coworkers for effective results. Thank you.